She had just posted a video, smiling, holding her protein shake, telling her followers to never settle, never shrink. She had 150,000 people listening, but the only one who refused to let go was the one who swore he loved her. On a quiet Saturday night, in a sushi restaurant parking lot in Fontana, California, Gloria Zamora was gunned down. Next to her was Hector Garduno, her date. A father of 4. Now dead, the shooter. Gloria's estranged husband. A man she was actively divorcing. A man she had just talked about on her podcast. They say leaving is freedom, but for women like Gloria, leaving can be a death sentence. She did what so many women are told to do, leave. But nobody warned her that leaving is the most dangerous part. If this story already has your heart racing, stop now and subscribe. These are the stories we are told too late. Let's make sure someone hears this one in time. How do you run from someone who's already decided you can't survive without them? Gloria wasn't hiding. She wasn't in fear, looking over her shoulder at every turn. She had done what women are told to do. She left. She rebuilt. She told the truth. And yet, she still ended up dead. It's a story we've heard too many times. But each time, it hits differently. Because this time, it was Gloria, and Gloria was alive. So alive, she lit up Instagram with a smile, her routines, her raw honesty. She wasn't trying to be perfect. She was trying to be real. A mom of 7. A woman with stretch marks and discipline. A voice in a world that tells women to stay quiet, stay pretty, stay small. She refused to stay small, and that refusal made her a target. They had been separated for months. The marriage had broken down long before the lawyers got involved. And Gloria? She had found herself again. In her children. In her workouts. In her words. It's easy to call this a love triangle. A crime of passion. But that would be a lie, because this wasn't about love. This was about power. Thomas couldn't stand that she had moved on. That she was seen. That she was wanted. What started as love had curdled into something ugly. Possession. Entitlement. Control. And when a man like that loses his grip, he doesn't let go. He crushes. The truth is, there were no sirens warning her that night. No final text. No heads up. There was just a parking lot. A dinner date. And a man with a gun. He didn't show up to talk. He didn't show up to win her back. He showed up to end her. Imagine the laughter. The food. The easy conversation. Imagine the chill in the air. The comfort of a normal night, then silence, then chaos. This story doesn't start at the shooting. It starts with a woman trying to live. A woman trying to leave, and that's what makes this so unbearable, because she did everything right. She told her truth. She took the hard steps. She let herself be loved again, and still, she died. This isn't just Gloria's story. This is every woman's story who's been told to just leave. But leaving isn't a door you walk through. It's a risk you survive, and Gloria didn't survive it. What kind of world are we in, where a woman can die for being free? We tell women to get out. But when they do, they are still not safe. So where do they go? Who protects them next? This story is about the moment we think everything is finally okay. When the hard part is over. When healing begins, but it's also about the part no one warns you about, the rage of a man who realizes he's lost control. He wasn't just losing a wife. He was losing the power to define her, and when that happens, when a man like that sees a woman he can't own, he decides no one else should have her either. We'll take you back to who Gloria was. Who Hector was. And how one night of peace turned into a tragedy that left 11 children without their parents. So keep listening. Because this isn't the end of Gloria's voice. It's just the beginning of her story. Before Gloria Zamora was a headline, before she was a podcast voice, a cautionary tale, or a statistic, she was just a woman trying to rise. Not to fame. Not to riches. But to peace. Born in California, Gloria grew up fast. Not in the fairytale way. She was the oldest sister, the one who had to grow up before the others even knew what growing up meant. From a young age, she knew what it meant to carry weight, not just physical, but emotional, familial, generational. She became a mother at 18. And again. And again. And again. By her early 30s, Gloria was a mom of 7. That alone would have been a full life. But she didn't stop there. There was a moment, she never said exactly when Gloria decided she wouldn't disappear into motherhood. She wouldn't become invisible. She didn't want to be the woman who gave everything and forgot herself. So she fought for her body. And then she fought for her voice. That's how Gloria Zamora _ was born. Her Instagram wasn't just Fitspo. It was real. She showed stretch marks, loose skin, baby hands clinging to her during workouts. She didn't pretend she had a nanny or a personal chef. She was sweaty, tired, unfiltered, and that's why women followed her. Her followers, over 150,000 of them, weren't just fans. They were women who saw themselves in her, single moms. Divorced women. Women who wanted to be strong but didn't know where to start. Gloria made starting look possible. Her captions were honest. I cried before this video. My ex tried to bring up custody again. I still showed up. Not because I'm strong, but because I'm tired of being broken. It hit. It spread. She wasn't trying to be viral. She was trying to be seen, and for the first time in years, she launched her podcast, Escalating, because she said too many women were suffering in silence. She invited others to talk about shame, survival, parenting, and power, but Escalating wasn't just talk. It was her fight song. On her podcast, she didn't pretend the road was easy. She shared breakups, court battles, financial stress. But she also shared her wins, finishing a half marathon, saving for a house, watching her kids smile when she danced. This wasn't a woman living in fear. This was a woman rising from it. She talked about leaving toxic relationships, about choosing yourself. She'd say, "You're not broken because you stayed. You're powerful when you walk." And walk she did. Her life wasn't clean. It was messy. But she made that mess into art, into strength, into purpose. She coached women for free. DM'd encouragement to new followers. Shared resources on custody, trauma therapy, budgeting. She didn't sell fake hope. She gave honest survival. People saw the abs, the followers, the podcast. But what mattered most, what was most dangerous to a man like Thomas, was that she was no longer afraid. She was confident. She was public. She was reclaiming her life, and that was the real threat, because a woman who's no longer scared is the hardest thing to control. So when we talk about who Gloria was, don't just see the fitness coach. See the mom who stayed up editing videos after bedtime stories. See the survivor who turned her wounds into weapons. See the woman who refused to disappear. She was living proof that women don't have to stay small. And for that, she paid the highest price. Thomas Alberto Tamayo Lizarraga walked into Gloria's life with a smile and easy charm. In the beginning, he played the role well, supportive, helpful, even adoring. Gloria, already a mother of several young children, saw in him the kind of partner she thought she needed. Someone who seemed stable. Someone who, at first glance, didn't seem to mind that she came with a full house and a complicated history. But as weeks turned into months, the warmth started to feel colder. At first, it was small. Questions about where she was going. Passive-aggressive comments about her posting workout videos. The shift came slow, but it came. Thomas didn't want to be her partner. He wanted to be her anchor. Not in a steadying way, but in a way that dragged. He began to isolate her. Gloria talked about it in subtle ways, comments in her captions about relearning to trust her gut, or telling her podcast audience that she had to remember what peace felt like because she hadn't felt it in a long time. Control isn't always violent, not at first. It's persistent. Invasive. It's him showing up when he wasn't invited. Him insisting on reading her texts. Him framing it all as love. I just worry about you. You post so much of yourself, how do I know who's really looking? That was his concern, not her safety. The more Gloria tried to rise, the more uncomfortable Thomas became. As she built a following, gained independence, and started making money on her own, his comments grew sharper. He began using the kids as leverage. He'd threaten custody battles. Bring up old arguments at the worst times. You think Instagram is real life? You think those people care about you? I'm the only one who's been here. Gloria started pulling back when she launched her podcast. Thomas called it a waste of time. When she began dating again, he said she was destroying the family. She spoke vaguely about this tension in her podcast episodes. One line stuck out: sometimes the biggest threat to your freedom is the person who says they love you the most. It's common in coercive relationships. When the victim starts to reclaim control, the abuser panics. Gloria wasn't hiding. She was glowing. That's what made her dangerous to him. She had outgrown him, and he knew it. By the time they separated, Thomas was unraveling. Gloria had set clear boundaries. She told friends she was done for good. She started openly posting with Hector. Not for attention, but for honesty. She wasn't trying to provoke. She was trying to live. That's what made Thomas spiral. Control, once lust, becomes desperation. He couldn't stand the idea that someone else might know her laugh, her smile, her peace. So he started watching. Stalking. Planning her final podcast just days before the shooting wasn't just a personal victory. It was a declaration: I'm not afraid of him anymore. She meant it. And he heard it. And for a man like Thomas, that was the final betrayal. He didn't want to get her back. He wanted to end what he could no longer control. Horizon wasn't built to go viral. It was built to heal. When Gloria launched the podcast, she did it with a mic she bought secondhand, wedged between laundry baskets and the background noise of 7 kids. The setup wasn't fancy. But the words were sharp. Honest. Raw. Horizon was her lifeline, and for many listeners, their lighthouse. In the first few episodes, she kept it light, talking about fitness, discipline, mental health. But her tone shifted as the weeks went on. More personal. More direct. It became clear, Gloria wasn't just sharing, she was testifying. She talked about what it meant to be stuck. Not just physically, but emotionally. Financially. Legally. What it meant to fear silence, because silence meant he might be watching. What it meant to walk on eggshells around someone who claimed to love you. In one episode, she said, "Some days I felt like I had to smile through my own funeral, just to keep peace in the house." The comments flooded in. Women saying, "Me too. I didn't know anyone else felt this. You're telling my story." But Thomas was listening too. Maybe not directly, but through whispers. Through followers. Through screenshots. He knew she was talking about him, even if she never used his name, and that made him furious. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was calling out the patterns. The control. The slow suffocation of being with someone who treats you like property. And she wasn't whispering, "I used to believe that love had to hurt a little. That I was asking for too much. But now I know. Love doesn't shrink you. Love lets you expand." Her final episodes were the clearest signs that she was done looking back. She spoke about moving on. About dating again. About setting boundaries. About the fear of being punished for choosing joy. One line haunts the timeline: "I'm not scared of him anymore." And I think that's what scares him most. She didn't know those would be some of her last words to the public. She didn't know that speaking her truth might accelerate his. Horizon wasn't just a show. It was her final warning. And no one heard it in time. For some women, their voice is the first thing they reclaim, and for some men, that voice becomes the ultimate threat. Hector Garduno wasn't a secret. He wasn't a rebound. He was a chapter Gloria was just beginning to write in ink, not pencil. The kind of man who showed up when the kids were sick, who offered to cook, who asked how her podcast was going. A father himself, with 4 children of his own, Hector knew the pace Gloria lived at. And he respected it. They met through mutual friends. Quietly. Casually. He followed her journey online for a while before reaching out. She was hesitant, not because of him, but because of what she'd survived. It's hard to trust after control. Harder still to receive kindness when all you've known is survival. But Hector was patient. He didn't try to fix her. He listened. He brought calm where others had brought chaos. And for the first time in years, Gloria felt like she could exhale. They started with coffee dates. Then dinner. Texts. Memes. Their kids met, slowly. Gloria's world was large and loud and full of life. Hector didn't try to shrink it. He joined it. That night at the sushi restaurant wasn't stolen time. It was earned peace. They weren't hiding. They weren't sneaking around. They were just living. Laughing. Eating spicy tuna and sipping sake, maybe making weekend plans. It was normal. Beautifully normal, but abusers don't like normal, at least, not for their exes. Thomas likely viewed Hector as a threat, not because of who he was, but because of what he represented, proof that Gloria could be loved without fear. That she could rebuild. That she had something, someone, to look forward to. There's a cruel irony in how safety invites risk. For Gloria, letting someone in meant also becoming visible to the one watching from outside. Maybe Thomas saw the posts. Maybe someone told him. Or maybe he couldn't stand not knowing, so he followed her himself. What we do know is this: Gloria chose love again. She chose softness. She chose Hector. And for that, they both paid, because in the mind of a man like Thomas, if he couldn't have her, no one could. Hector was collateral in a war he didn't start. A man who simply showed up. Loved a woman as she was. Took her out to dinner. And never got to say goodbye. His children lost a father. Gloria's children lost the man who might have become family. And the world lost a gentle presence who, in every quiet way, helped a strong woman feel safe again. He wasn't a secret. He was her future, and it was stolen. It started like a regular Saturday. Gloria posted a photo of her nails. She captioned it, "Self-care before sushi." Her tone was playful. Light. Hector sent her a selfie with a thumbs up. Said he'd meet her at 7. By all accounts, the evening was peaceful. The sushi spot in Fontana wasn't flashy. A local favorite. Families, couples, laughter echoing inside. Gloria and Hector walked in like any other couple. She wore jeans and a crop jacket. He held the door. They laughed. Ordered sake. They were seen at the table, smiling, eating, free, for over an hour. There were no shadows. No suspicion. Just a woman with a man she trusted. And kids safe at home, but somewhere nearby, a car idled. In it, Thomas Lizaraga. Waiting. How did he know where she'd be? That's the question investigators still haven't answered. Did he see her story? Track her phone? Follow her? Did someone tell him? What's clear is this: it wasn't coincidence. It wasn't a snap decision. Thomas came armed. Angry. Ready. He waited outside as they ate. Witnesses said he parked toward the back, sat for a long time. Engine off. Had pulled low. Some say they saw him get out, pace, then get back in. He watched them walk in, watched them eat. Maybe he timed it. Maybe he waited until he couldn't anymore. Inside, Gloria was relaxed. Unaware. Free for the first time in a long time. She probably told Hector about a new workout plan. Maybe he told her about his kid's latest soccer game. They were building. They were breathing. At 8:52 p.m., they paid the bill. She texted a friend, headed out. That was fun. Then they stepped into the cool night air. Parking lots are quiet. Isolated. Easy. They didn't hear him approach. Didn't know he was there. Until the first shot. Thomas didn't speak. He didn't shout. He fired. Over and over. Gloria fell first. Then Hector. A few people ran. Others dropped to the ground. Someone screamed. Someone called 911. It happened fast. Too fast. At that moment, an off-duty officer nearby heard the gunshots. Rushed to the scene. He shouted. Drew his weapon. Thomas turned the gun on him. A final shot. Thomas was dead. In less than 90 seconds, 3 people lay on the pavement. 2 wouldn't get up, and inside the restaurant, a birthday party kept going for a few stunned moments. Then chaos. Then sirens. Then the questions that would never get full answers. Gloria thought she was finally free. She thought the night would end with a kiss goodbye. Instead, it ended with everything taken. The night was calm, too calm. Gloria and Hector had just stepped out of the restaurant, laughing, full of life, their future still unwritten. They didn't hear the car pull into the parking lot. They didn't notice the shadow waiting. Thomas Lizarraga had made his move. Years of control, anger, and jealousy boiled into one violent act. The first gunshot shattered the quiet. Then another. And another. People screamed, ducked for cover, some froze in shock. Gloria and Hector didn't get a chance to react. Both were hit, collapsing to the pavement. An off-duty police officer nearby heard the shots and rushed toward the chaos. He saw Thomas raising his weapon again, ready to keep killing. Without hesitation, the officer fired. Thomas fell dead, ending the rampage. It was over in less than 2 minutes. But the damage would last forever. 2 people were dead. 11 children lost parents in a moment. A community was shattered. The irony was cruel. Thomas's final act was to silence the woman who had found her voice and the man who offered her hope. Gloria's fight to be free ended in violence. Despite her bravery, despite her truth, this wasn't a crime of passion. It was a crime of possession. A desperate man trying to reclaim what he had lost. But the cost was devastating. What haunts us most is how quickly everything changed. 1 minute, a couple laughing over sushi. The next, blood on the asphalt and sirens screaming in the distance. There were no last words. No chance for forgiveness or understanding. Just a violent ending to a story that deserved so much more. The shooting exposed a truth often hidden, that leaving doesn't always mean safety. That danger often comes when a woman asserts her independence. That love, twisted by control, can turn deadly. Gloria and Hector's deaths raise a painful question. How many times must a woman flee before the world protects her, and how many more lives will be shattered before justice isn't just reactive, but preventative? Their story is a reminder of what's at stake. Of the silent battles women fight every day. And of the urgent need to listen, believe, and act before it's too late. 7 children lost their mother. 4 children lost their father. 11 lives shattered in an instant. These weren't just victims, they were little humans who loved, laughed, and depended on Gloria and Hector. What will they remember? The way their parents smiled. The workouts in the backyard. The bedtime stories. Now they face a future without their anchors. Their grief is deep, raw, and unimaginable. Who will hold them? Who will answer the questions they'll have? Questions no child should ask. They've lost not just parents but safety and stability. 2 families, intertwined in love and loss. The trauma will echo for years, and the community must ask itself, how do we protect the most vulnerable, the children left behind? How do we support these kids through the silence their parents left? Because while the killers are gone, the scars remain. 11 children remind us that femicide doesn't just end with death. It ripples, and their stories deserve to be heard. Gloria Zamora's story is heartbreakingly familiar. Across the country, women are killed every week by men they tried to leave. They do everything right. They speak out. They seek help. They run, and still, they don't survive. These deaths aren't accidents or one-offs. They are part of a pattern, a tragic cycle fueled by control and entitlement. Women like Gloria, and countless others before her, have faced coercion, isolation, and threats. Their stories, often whispered or ignored, build a chilling archive of warning signs. We remember names like Amber, whose calls for help went unanswered. Or Maria, who fled multiple times but was hunted down. Femicide doesn't start with bullets. It begins with control. With possessiveness disguised as love. With threats and fear used to trap and silence. The system often fails to connect these dots until it's too late. Until the body count rises. Gloria's death is a devastating reminder that the pattern continues unchecked. Until society treats coercive control as seriously as physical violence, women remain at risk. This isn't just a problem for individual families. It's a public health crisis. A systemic failure. We need to stop pretending these are isolated tragedies, because every name we forget is a life lost, every statistic is a failure, and every story, like Gloria's, is a call to change. By the time Gloria's body lay cold in the parking lot, every system meant to protect her had already failed. It's the same refrain, repeated in case after case: the justice system, the family courts, even social circles, all responding too late. We call it a tragedy, but it was preventable. What we rarely ask is, where were the red flags? Who missed them? And why do we keep pretending we don't see the pattern until the victim is gone? Did Gloria have a restraining order? If she didn't, was it because no one explained her options clearly? Or because she, like many women, believed a piece of paper wouldn't stop a man who already believed he owned her? Was Thomas reported before? Had someone warned about his temper? Was their history invisible to the public, hiding behind privacy laws and bureaucratic dead ends? Even if Gloria never filed a police report, that's not unusual. Most survivors don't. They fear being ignored, blamed, or made more unsafe. Many don't trust that reporting violence will lead to safety, only escalation. And far too often, they are right, domestic violence is a slow erosion. It's hard to prove, easy to dismiss. And when someone like Gloria finally finds the courage to leave, the system should rise up to meet her, not leave her exposed, but restraining orders are only as strong as their enforcement. Police often can't or don't act until something has already happened. Judges sometimes view control as relationship conflict. Friends and family minimize, saying things like, "At least he's not hitting you." And when women die, we shake our heads and say, "She should have told someone." But Gloria was telling someone. On her podcast. In her posts. In her body language. In the way she kept building a life despite the pressure. We just didn't listen. The system waits for bruises before it acts. But control doesn't always leave bruises. Sometimes it leaves silence, isolation, surveillance, financial dependence. And that kind of abuse is just as deadly, it just takes longer. Why was Thomas free to stalk her, to track her, to ambush her? Why is a man allowed to plan a murder across the slow timeline of a divorce? We build systems to respond to violence, not to prevent it. That's our failure. Gloria's death isn't just a story. It's evidence of what happens when women asked for freedom and are met with loopholes, delays, and indifference, until we take non-physical abuse as seriously as we take bullets, until we understand that a man who won't let go can become a man with a gun. We'll keep burying women who did everything right. We need laws that see the pattern early. Judges who believe survivors. Friends who ask the right questions. Police who don't wait for proof in blood, because by the time the system reacts, it's already too late, and Gloria deserved more than a body bag. She deserved backup. In the final moments of her life, Gloria wasn't hiding. She wasn't afraid. She was living, boldly, openly, freely. She and Hector weren't sneaking around, afraid of being caught. They were just two people, enjoying dinner. Planning the next day. Dreaming of what came next. She had stepped out of fear and into light. And for the first time in a long time, she believed in second chances. In joy. In a life after pain that was taken from her. Hector never got to say goodnight. Gloria never got to tuck her kids in again. All because someone believed her happiness was a betrayal. She didn't die in silence. She died fighting for her freedom, her joy, her right to choose love again, and that's what makes this so devastating. They weren't doing anything risky. They were just living. And someone else decided that was a crime. She bet on a new life. And she should have been allowed to live it. Her name was Gloria Zamora. She was a mother. A motivator. A survivor. A woman who rebuilt her life in public so other women could believe they could too. She shared her pain not to gain sympathy, but to give others strength. And in the end, she was killed for doing exactly what society tells women to do: leave. Speak. Heal. Begin again. Gloria's story is a mirror held up to a world that still treats violence against women as private, as unfortunate, as inevitable, but it's not. It's a choice someone made. It's a system that looked away. It's the silence that surrounded her story until it ended in blood. We must stop seeing stories like Gloria's as cautionary tales. They are calls to action. Urgent ones. If you know a woman trying to leave, believe her. Don't ask for proof. Don't tell her to wait. Help her, check on her. Stand by her. Interrupt the patterns, because love isn't what kills her. Control does. Thank you for joining us. Say her name, Gloria Zamora. She fought to live. Let us fight for the women still here. If this story moved you, subscribe now. These stories matter. These lives matter. Don't let their voices fade in silence. Subscribe, share, and keep the conversation going.